turquoise water, the smell of chlorine mixing with the fragrance of jasmine vines that clung to the 12-foot fence surrounding our property. To my left, the tennis court, where I'd first learned to ride a bike. Behind me, Melvin's pyramid, high on stilts and looming against the sky, the ladder leading up to his entrance 3 times as tall as me. I'd never been inside, but I knew it was where he went to meditate for hours on end. If you stood underneath it and looked up, you could see the slats that formed its floor, and through them, the deep blue velvet cushions that were made for him to sit on. On the way to the kids' house, I passed the koi pond and stopped to watch their white and orange bodies glide around under the water. I wondered if animals were going to be taken to Venus too, or if these fish would just boil inside their little habitat. But I didn't dwell. We'd all been looking forward to this day for weeks, and there was much to do before sundown. Now I hurried down the narrow path past our own pyramid, a much bigger one than Melvin's and only a few feet off the ground, and into the kids' house, where Carolee hovered over a counter covered with 20 thick slices of homemade bread, slathering each with peanut butter. Frida was at another counter, spreading jelly on slices and handing them to Jackie, who wielded a bread knife, putting the 2 sides together and cutting each in half. They were singing Going Home, Jackie and Frida harmonizing beautifully, with Carolee humming along, distracted. Going home, I'm just going home. It's not far, just close by, through an open door. Over our heads was the soft thud of kids' feet running down the hall. Someone was playing the harmonica in the living room, and I could faintly hear an eruption of girls' laughter trickling down from one of the upstairs bedrooms. I stood there in the kitchen. I loved Going Home, and it was the perfect song for the moment. I joined in for the end. All the friends we knew, imitating an emotional Olivia de Havilland at the end of the film The Snake Pit. Carolee pushed her long brown hair out of her face with the side of her arm, her hands otherwise occupied, and noticed me for the first time. "Where have you been, you little space cadet?" she asked affectionately. "Go round up the kids and tell them it's lunchtime, and after that it's baths, and get your spaceship clothes on." I loved Carolee. She was the only adult who slept here in the kids' house with us, and one of the only adults who rarely raised her voice and was generous with hugs and lenient with rules. "And take that laundry basket upstairs. You girls get it all folded up before we eat." I could barely carry the basket overflowing with clean clothes, but I hoisted it onto my hip and made my way up the curved staircase. The strip of carpet that ran along the middle of the terracotta steps was worn in a way that only 25 kids running up and down it daily could do. And the curved wall bore the smudges of our grubby hands. Samantha and Karina hurried past me down the stairs, each holding several dolls, in deep conversation about which they would choose to bring to Venus. I stopped on the second-floor landing to rest, putting the laundry basket down, and decided I wanted to spend one last moment in the beloved room on the 3rd floor, which was a turret, a circular single room, and a place where mostly just the girls hung out. Up its skinny staircase with the basket once again, I dumped all the clothes on the floor and sat on top of the pile, contemplating my favorite thing in the house, a dollhouse we'd made out of 3 tiers of curved shelves, which took up most of one wall. We'd created an elaborate tiny world, spending hours on the most minute of details, a bedspread made of a fabric scrap but finished around the edges with intricate stitches, a dining room rug made from yarn, braided and carefully looped into an oval that could rest perfectly in the palm of your hand. I was especially proud of the toilet paper roll I'd made, no bigger than my pinky nail, crafted by slicing ever so cautiously up the side of a regular roll of toilet paper and rolling it around on a toothpick. I turned the 3-ply into 1-ply, realizing that the life-size thickness just wouldn't do. I stood up and began to fold the laundry into 2 piles, girls' clothes and boys' clothes, vaguely wondering why this task was necessary, given that the world was ending. All of us had been told to choose our favorite toy and put on our favorite clothes and then wait for the spaceship to come. I decided on my party dress, light blue with red flowers, and a black and white stuffed dog that was made of rabbit fur. After dinner, we all sat in the living room and waited. I, of course, did not know that Venus is a place with no water and that its surface temperature is hot enough to melt lead. But the adults around me, many of them college-educated, must have known this. Years later, I asked my mother, "Mom, you must have known humans can't live on Venus. How did you reconcile that in your head?"